Right, let's start it. So, good morning, or good hello, or good day. This is Australia. It is the Commonwealth, which is not only the wealth of the nation, but the people who created this nation, the first nation on this continent ever on record. Whichever way you want to view it, that's how it is. The first people here were Egyptians. The evidence proves that. How long the others have been here, there's no evidence to show. There's no evidence to show that they are a nation. The rhetoric that's put around doesn't help anybody. Kangaroo Jack puts it out that we should all work together. I agree 100%. The two flags other than the blue flag or red flag, whichever you prefer, do not exist in law. They were put there, I believe, to cause dissension between the people. Now, first I'm going to refer to this. It's stated that this is the same as the Red Book. It is not. Anybody who reads the two, I've got the two, will note the huge amount of changes in it. So this book is copyrighted to the political parties, and it's revised edition by who? It's got Lexis, Nexus, Butterworth and all the rest of the nonsense on there. So who revised it, who authorised it, when we already had an interpretation which was made against the people who wrote the Constitution? We didn't have anything else. I watched a purported speech by a purported Governor-General on her little book. How she stated she's going to teach the Constitution. Well, you better learn it. The Constitution is not that little book. It's not the Green Book. It's this document. The Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK. What's its relevance? It was accepted by the people. It was accepted by England, and we were granted the authority to have a constitution by England because the 6 colonies wanted to become 6 states. So it doesn't matter what people think. Doesn't matter what a professor says. If they say anything outside this, they're wrong. Are they lying? Well, you decide that. Read your constitution. If it doesn't weigh up to it, of course they are. But are they lying deliberately, or are they lying because they're repeating what someone else has said without any investigation to find out the truth? Now, AAP said we didn't need a referendum to change the currency. Well, this says our currency is pounds. So this was made letters patent on the 29th of October 1900 with every state constitution in its original form. All the imperial law became law in this country under the Colonial Laws Validity Act. Is that a fact? Absolutely is. Did we have an Electoral Act? Yes, and it's still valid because it's still law. And I'll come to that in a tick, because we have an Immigration Act. It is still law in its original form. Who told anybody that they can change it? Were we asked? No, so it's not changed. Was England notified? Did the Queen or reigning monarch sign off on it? No. They're imperial acts, you can't touch them. It says in here, in the interpretation of our Constitution, which is the one is in place as an imperial act, is this. Who says so? The framers. Dr. John Quick and Sir Robert Garran put this together from the Hansard, or the interpretation by the people who put it together. I know Anne Toomey's got books on it. Why hasn't she read them? Why hasn't she weighed it up against the Green Constitution and found it wanting? Because you will. You need a referendum to change one letter of this book. Do you have to explain? Yes. Chapter 3, Section 76, page 795, the 4th paragraph says, if you exercise authority, any of you, and that includes the Governor, purported Governor-General, because you aren't one, You must explain where your authority comes from, and you can't. The Prime Minister, whatever it is, whoever it is, both, has to explain where his authority comes from, and he can't. Doesn't come from conventions, doesn't come from imperial law. It's a lie. Premiers of states, another lie. Who should they be? From what I can see, the Speaker of the state as premiers, the Speaker of the Federal Parliament as a Primary Minister. The go-between between those houses of Parliament and the governors of the states at state level, and the go-between between those houses and the Governor-General, a lawful one, appointed under the letters patent issued by Queen Victoria. And they're not. What they're doing is they're actually committing a breach of allegiance they owe to the people, to serve the people. We are not a democratic country. We are not an independent sovereign nation. The only time we were asked in 1999, we said no, and that's the end of it. You can't change that. It's the will of the people. Now, why do I say that? It's simple. Because when you get this red book from the interpreters, this is a very profound paragraph, and I've said it many times, and it obviously has either sunk into the heads of politicians, or they choose to ignore it, or they're just too thick and believe they can get around it. Now, when you talk about the authority in this country under our Constitution, O'Connor says, Mr. O'Connor, one of the people who put the Constitution together, states, I'm just making sure I've got it. O'Connor, I believe there is no writer on this subject on the other side of the Atlantic, but supposed it to be vested in that body. He stated further that if the question was asked of some politician who had not considered the subject with sufficient accuracy where the supreme power resides in our government, he would answer that it was vested in the state constitutions. This opinion approaches near the truth, but does not reach it, for the truth is the supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. That is pretty straightforward, strong and very profound statement. Is it accurate? Obviously. It came from the framers. Why did they say that? Well, why is our country set up the way it is? I believe that the British Empire looked at the American system that was set up when America gained its purported independence. Well, how did it still remain part of the British Empire? Same as India does. America was granted the right to have a president, a Congress, a constitution, and a Bill of Rights. Were we? No. Why weren't we? Because we didn't ask for it. I believe the framers of our Constitution were fully aware of the corruption in America, and it still is, albeit Donald Trump's wiping some of it out. Some say he is, some say he isn't. It appears to me he is. Now, when you put that against what we have, the supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority is ours. What authority does a parliament have over us? Nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. Don't believe me? Read our Constitution and the interpretation by our framers, not political party high school dropouts that go to university and fail to look at the law and learn whatever some clowns taught them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, get the book, which a lot of people are, the red one. They're reading it, and the comprehending the truth of our Constitution, which is on page 701. The Commonwealth, quasi-sovereign. What's the Commonwealth? The wealth of the people and the people. How do we know that? They passed a law in England. It's the crown in right of the people. There is no crown other than the British crown, because under clause 8 we are a self-governing colony of England and remain that way until we choose. We, the people, choose. Why is that so? Because we said so. Look at what I'm saying, read the Constitution and comprehend it. The supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. When you look at the Commonwealth on page 701 on that graph, the Commonwealth, quasi-sovereign. Why is it quasi-sovereign? Because we are sovereign under the Crown, which is our insurance through the governors and the Governor-General, lawful ones, not these stand-in make-believe fairies put there by political parties. They are not. They have no authority. Look at the law, and it is precise. We did not allow the Parliament to change our money. It needed a referendum, but it also needed the signature of the reigning monarch, because pounds is in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution Act. The authority for us to have a constitution. If you want to change that, not only did you need a referendum, you need a lot more than that. You need permission off the people, you need permission off the reigning monarch, because it's a letters patent. The only person who can change it is a reigning monarch. Did they? Oh no, there's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of words out. Oh, this person did this person did it. Absolute baloney. There was no authority for Billy Hughes to change the royal identifier. But he did. And that's evidence in Northampton, 43 k's north of where I am right this minute, in the museum on a plaque. In 1907, when he opened that museum or opened something in that town, that plaque was put on there with his version, kangaroo and emu, royal identifier. It's there for people to see. It's been there all this time. I've got all the evidence I need to prove that that's there. You can take it away, burn it, do whatever you like. Is it correct? Yes. Did Billy Hughes or any politician have the right to introduce conscription? Conscription to what? To the army, to the air force, the navy, into anything you wanted? No. Does it say in the Constitution he has that authority? No. Was it put to a referendum? Absolutely. And we said no. 123A. Or 23A, sorry, 51, subsection 23A. Says so. No conscription on medical grounds or anything else. Go away. Can you have quarantine? No. Section 69 says all of that was transferred to the federal government, and it was. If we had a lawful one, but we haven't. Now let's look at what was established at Federation. It was established that the people are sovereign and supreme. Their authority is absolute. You cannot just change what you want when that was made a letters patent. You need our permission and then to the reigning monarch for the signification. Otherwise it's void in law, and it's all void in law. Western Australia never put its state constitution in place. So what created the first state parliament of Western Australia? Fraud. Until that state constitution is put in place, this state sits in fraud. Without a parliament, without any single law whatsoever, and no chance of running anything. Am I right? Read your constitution. I'm 100% correct. That's why, if it was asked to the politicians that constitution of the state nears the truth but doesn't reach it because the people are above that state constitution. So what does that mean? It's a letters patent. Has to go to the people, they give permission, and it goes to the monarch to sign off on. Are all the letters patent issued by Queen Victoria still in place? Absolutely. How do we know that? I'll come to that in a second. I've already explained it in an earlier video, just to refresh people's minds. You need to know this. We, the people, are sovereign and supreme and have absolute authority through our constitution. Because under the Commonwealth is the constitution. We give up part of legislative authority through our constitution to a group of people that are there to represent us, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives. Then you see the difference between the American system, where they've got governors, they got this, they got that, they got control over a lot of things. Our Parliament has none without our permission. They say, well, they said for years there was no local government in the Constitution. When I brought out that fact, suddenly there was all this thing. Yes, the states' parliaments are local government. Well, why have we got another local government? But let's get back to the facts of things. Billy Hughes signed the Treaty of Versailles. Billy Hughes joined the League of Nations. Did he ask us? No. So was it lawful? Absolutely not. That would grant him supreme authority and power. It's ours. The Constitution says so. So what was he doing, signing those and trying to pretend he was serving us? He wasn't. It's a lie. Absolute lie. There's a lot of things coming on this page. I'm not going to answer any of it because a lot of it is just absolute garbage. And I'm not going to answer it. So you can stop putting it on there. Otherwise I'll just delete it anyway. But let's get back to the facts. George V, King George V, came to Australia in February 1920. And he said, I uphold all of my grandmother's letters patents. Very, very clear. That statement was proclaimed and gazetted in the Government Gazette. It's available for you to look up. It's there. I've got a copy. So if it disappears, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What you need to comprehend is Sir Edmund Barton, who was the Chief Justice of the High Court, went before the Parliament in 1919 and questioned the Parliament and their validity and their ability to join these things and sign the Treaty of Versailles. Somehow he decided to die over the Christmas break in a big hotel on the edge of a cliff between Lura and Lithgow on the Great Western Highway in New South Wales. I've been there. I know what it is. I know what happened. And I read up. I urge people to read it and print it themselves, so that other people will know what I'm saying is correct. And it happened. 1936. The government at the time applied to England to separate Western Australia from the rest of Australia. And England said the Commonwealth Constitution and Federation is indissoluble. Go back and govern the state. If you can't work out that being indissoluble and above you isn't correct, you've got something missing in your head. Page 346 says, not all enactments of the Parliament are valid. Only those passed pursuant to, in accordance with, and under the authority granted by the Constitution, are binding on the courts, judges and people of every state. All other laws are void. So who has authority? Supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority is ours. Who has supremacy? Who owns and runs this country? The people. Nobody else, no politicians, no political parties, and no one else claiming authority. You don't have it. Under the authority granted by our Constitution, politicians make laws for us, not over us. Now, look at page 676. In the middle of the page it says, the Constitution is above both houses of Parliament and they must comply with it. Go back. Supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority, ours, not the Parliament's. Our Constitution is above both houses of Parliament. Not the other way around as would-be professors would tell you. And there's plenty of them out there sprouting that rubbish. The supremacy of the Parliament is coming out of the mouths of politicians. Who tells them this nonsense? So-called professors. The Constitution says the opposite. Supreme law of this country, as ruled by the High Court several times, and lots of other people, and England, is binding on the lot. Courts, judges and people of every state. Down the bottom of page 676 it says, the Parliament is not supreme, and the very essence of federation is that must be so. The Parliament, like everybody else, is subject to the law and must abide by it. Must abide by it. Comprehend that. Go to page 791, the bottom of the last paragraph, the bottom of that page in the last paragraph, it says, neither the federal nor the state parliaments are sovereign bodies or any legislatures with limited authority. What does a legislature do? Well, when you look at the duties of the Governor-General, and it applies at state level, and I'll come back to that because it needs explaining so people who don't want to know or have been taught lies will comprehend what I'm saying. Every single law in this country has to be brought by the politicians that represent us to the Parliament. There's no opposition, that's all lies and fraud. If I'm wrong, show me where your authority comes from. You don't have it. And can you create it? No, you can't. Equally, show me where if you think you can. And you can't. Now, the legislation has to be put together by the Governor-General at federal level. I'll talk that first. She selects, or he selects rather, 10 from the lower house, 8 from the other. They put the legislation together with the Federal Attorney General and the Governor-General. It doesn't happen. There is no federal cabinet. There's no national cabinet. There's no cabinets except where you store your drugs and grog. There's nothing else in that. I'm not going to answer even that rubbish. There's no evidence to prove they had the authority to do it, so they can't. Now, let's go back to what I was saying. At state level, it's exactly the same. The states are created under 107, 108 and 109 and draw their authority referentially from the Commonwealth Constitution. States that. 106 allows the state constitutions to continue subject to the Commonwealth one. How do you change the Commonwealth Constitution without a referendum? So any clause in there would be removed by the Constitution, which takes away the need for a referendum. You can't just randomly change anything. And it's a letters patent, which prohibit you changing it. You have to go to the reigning monarch to change the section you think you had the right to change. Think, because you didn't have any evidence and still don't. You can sit there and say I'm wrong. What I'm saying is nonsense. I've heard of what you say. I get it sent to me all the time. I just laugh at you because you haven't taken the time to study the Constitution properly because you're too wrapped up in your political parties. And I've heard what particular person said and then went and prepared a paper with the Chief Justice of the High Court to say that you can't sign any agreements without the permission of the people, and you never do. So none of them are there lawfully. None of them. And yet you're saying they can do what they like. No, they can't. There were, after 1900, Western Australia never put its constitution in place, its lawful one. New South Wales in August removed theirs. Each state by 1974 had totally removed their constitutions or altered them so they were no longer compliant with 106. So none of the parliaments of those states had any authority, which comes from there. What I said in relation to needing a referendum to cut off the ACT and Canberra is all contained in section 123. It says that if the federal parliament decides, with the will of the people, to cut off the section, and the constitution says they can't, for the seat of government under 125. They passed a law in 1909, as I said. 123 of the Constitution says they needed permission of the Parliament of New South Wales. They got it. 123 says after obtaining that they need a referendum from the people who will authorise it. They didn't get it and still haven't. And they couldn't because in August 1902 they removed their constitution and replaced it. They didn't have a lawful parliament and still don't. Still don't. Now you've got a problem because the seat of government and ACT is invalid until such time you have a referendum in that state. But you've got to put the state constitution back in place first and establish a lawful government under the 1890 Electoral Act, which no state has ever done since Federation or just after. So now you've got a big problem, and you can say what you like. I'm quoting from the Constitution so that you can know that you can read it yourself. Every single politician sitting in the federal parliament, before they take their seat, must swear the oath in the Constitution, and they're not doing it. The Governor-General would have to be established under the letters patent by Queen Victoria. Haven't done it. Because Bob Hawke decided he could issue a letters patent under the Queen of Australia. Who said you could change the royal style and title of the Crown, and where is it in the Constitution? There's none. Oh, we can do it. No, you can't. If you can, the onus of proof is on you to show where you got that authority. And you can't do it. Chapter 3, Section 76, page 795, the 4th paragraph. Prove that I'm wrong. Rubbish. I'm not answering it any other way. People don't know our Constitution. That's why they've got disdain for it. People have been lied to, misled and deceived by the politicians and the political parties. They don't want to know our thing. And that, the whole thing you said is rubbish. I'm not even going to comment any further than that. 2, sign external agreements. They have to be part of the executive. They have to hold a portfolio granted to them by a lawful Governor-General. They haven't got it. The WEF, the WHO, the UN and all those agreements put the person who signed them in blatant treason against the people. They breached the oath of allegiance they owe to the people because they never got permission off the people to do it. That's the paper I was talking about that the Chief Justice of the High Court stated, and it was backed up by this so-called Governor-General, so-called professor, trying to make out that none of what we're doing is lawful when everything we're saying is lawful. We have the ultimate say, nobody else does. Supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority. They aren't swearing an oath to the Queen of Australia. That's nonsense. They're swearing to serve the people. Read it. They don't want a Christian dictatorship. That's all nonsense. I'll get my wife to delete these people because they're just putting all this garbage up. Their allegiance is contained in our Constitution. Section 42 says every senator, that's the whole federal parliament senator, every member of the House of Representatives, before taking their seat, must swear the oath in the Constitution. That answers half a dozen different things on there. That's why I'm not answering any more. I'll leave it to my wife just to wipe you out while I'm busy here talking, because I'm talking what the Constitution says, not what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. Prove what you're saying or don't come on my page. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want any garbage. I'm sick of the lies and the fraud put here by people who think they know and don't know anything. They put up groups that know this, know that. Read the Constitution. I'm only teaching you what's in the Constitution and decisions of the High Court which are lawful, and there's none anymore. Since 1979, when they introduced the High Court Act, they took out the separation of powers between the executive and the judicature. And it's imperative it be there, so we can have a judicature or the court system that serves the people, not political parties and their ideals. Simple as that. And it's in the Constitution. Read it. It's time for people to wake up. We haven't got an American system where the supreme leader is the president. We've got a system where the supreme leader is the people. The people. The 9 clauses apply to our Constitution. Where are they? There. And it gets interesting. Clause 4. The Commonwealth shall be established, and the Constitution of the Commonwealth shall take effect on and after the day so appointed. But the Parliament of the several colonies may, at any time after the passing of this Act, make any such laws to come into operation on the day so appointed, as they might have made if the Constitution had taken effect at the passing of this Act. Meaning they can pass laws that comply with the Constitution. Clause 3. It shall be lawful for the Queen, with the advice of the Privy Council, to declare by proclamation that, on and after a date therein appointed, not being later than the year after the passing of this Act, the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania, and also if Her Majesty is satisfied that the people of Western Australia have agreed thereto of Western Australia, shall be united in a federal Commonwealth under the name of the Commonwealth of Australia. But the Queen may at any time after the proclamation appoint a Governor-General for the Commonwealth, which she did. And that the proclamation was the 9th of July 1900. Now, go to Clause 6, and this is what was established by this Constitution. The Commonwealth shall mean the Commonwealth of Australia as established under this Act. Pretty clear. The States shall mean such of the colonies of New South Wales, New Zealand, Queensland, Tasmania, Victoria, Western Australia and South Australia, including the Northern Territory of South Australia, because it's one state, as for the time being are parts of the Commonwealth, and such colonies or territories as may be admitted into or established by the Commonwealth as states, and each of such parts of the Commonwealth shall be called a state. Original state shall mean each state as are parts of the Commonwealth at its establishment. Well, that included New Zealand. It says so. New Zealand had 2 seats in the New South Wales Parliament. Who governs New Zealand? Well, it deserves to be sorted out, because there's no treaty signed off by any reigning monarch for the treaty of whatever they call it. They're entitled to a treaty if they can get it signed off. Otherwise, it's in here as an original state. Who says so? The Constitution. Oh, there's a professor saying, none of those clauses, the only clause that applies is clause 9, that establishes the Commonwealth. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The Act granted to us to have a Commonwealth, a constitution, grants a lot, including the clauses. The clauses were added for a reason. And that's what was proclaimed and gazetted. The lot, including the 9 clauses. So anything to the contrary is not true. Read it and weep, because you're wrong. So really, we don't have a system like America, which is what the current Parliament, pretending to be a government, is trying to state. But we don't have any lawful politicians. We don't have any lawful politicians. The Constitution, paragraph 8, says you can vote for one person once for the Senate. Paragraph 30, one person once for the House of Representatives. Does it say that? Yes. Is it a crime to change that? Absolutely. It's a misdemeanor and it's indictable. How do we know? We go to page 810 in the annotated Constitution, which is the interpretation by the people who framed it, not by political parties who decided they had the authority to do what they did. It was all lies. They had no authority whatsoever and still don't. If you do, show in the Constitution where it says you can exist. It doesn't. So you don't exist. Just another pack of lies by politicians. Now, I'll read this so it's clear. The only reason I'm reading it, because I know what it says. I want people to understand this is the interpretation by the people who wrote it. The only people who know what it meant, because they were there. Anything else is a lie. Stop lying to us. We want the truth. Without truth, there's no justice. So we have a look at this. So we go to page 810. And this, I'll read it, and I'll get the torch because the light in here is a bit dim today, being that we've got the cyclone floating around. But anyway, it's this, and it's the second paragraph. It's part of the previous one, and then you go to wherever statute forbids the doing of a thing, the doing of it is wilfully, although without any corrupt motive, is indictable. Serious offence. And it's got a decision of the court in England that provided that. Accordingly, the provision that each elector shall vote only once, section 8 and 30, is an express provision against plural voting, and any elector voting more than once at a federal election will be guilty of a misdemeanor. And because the states continue subject to this, it applies to that as well. If it isn't, show me where it says it. It says here it does. The Constitution says so, both in an interpretation by the framers and the Constitution itself. You show. You have to. You make a statement, you back it up. You can't, so you're wrong. Now, let's look at the problem we have in this country. When you go to the Electoral office, which is unlawful, overseen by an unlawful commissioner, you are operating under an unlawful act, federal act. But there's no federal parliament because you have no lawful states to create it. It's the representatives of each state coming together form the federal parliament. The Act says so. The writs are issued by a lawful Governor-General to the governors of the state to call an election in each state, and you vote for one person once for the Senate, one person once for the House of Representatives. That's it. You want us to vote for 8 people for the House of Representatives, or you disallow our vote. You block us from doing that. Then above the line for a political party for the Senate. How many people are in the political parties? 1,500 or more? How is that one? Can't you count, or you're just too stupid to realise the truth in what I'm saying? Now you go back. You've got to vote on everything to validate your vote. You get it ticked off to show, oh, you went there. I handed them a letter and said, I attended at the polling booth at this time and there were no lawful candidates. There were none because they were all political parties, and you were forcing me to vote for all of them according to your documents, all of which is lies. All of it is lies. How do we know? Go read your constitution again. We can only vote for one person once. You can't have a federal act because there's an imperial act says how elections are run. How do we know you're lying and committing a shocking treason on the people? You breach the oath you owe to the people to serve them. You fine us if we don't vote your way. You do it in every other thing. You'll do this or we'll fine you. You'll submit to a breath test or we'll charge you with drink driving even though you have never drank in your life. That's force. That's slavery. It's peonage under the Commonwealth Criminal Code 268, subsection 10, 11 and 12. Slavery. Read it. It's there. Look at what you're doing. You people need to comprehend. They sent me their little fine. I filled it out. And I put everything on there, which I'm explaining to you now. They didn't answer me again. They didn't send me another fine. A lawyer rang me and said, "Oh, what's all this?" I said, "You're raising a serious constitutional issue and you're going to end up in the High Court. Believe me, you're going there. Because you're forcing me to vote more than once for the Senate. You're forcing me to vote more than once for the House of Representatives. Both are unlawful. Both are an indictable offence. Both are a serious misdemeanour. You want to go to the High Court? I will. I have no problem. It's criminal, so there's no cost to go there. You can file in criminal jurisdiction without paying any fees. You can file for exemption or you can file in criminal and wipe the fees because it's in the public interest. Definitely in the public interest when you're trying to force everybody to vote the way you think. I don't think like you, nor does majority of people. And I don't know why they don't stand up and say, I'm not going to do it. They don't want to get a fine. Yeah, there's no point asking me, is it possible to win these battles? We've filed everything into England. To every member of the House of Lords, every member of the House of Commons, to Andrew Rosendell, the head of the committee that took over from the Privy Council in dealing with constitutional issues in this country, even though the political parties tell you, the Privy Council has been dissolved. It never was. It was moved into the High Court of England to the Court of Chancery. Go on their website, it'll tell you it all. It'll tell you what I'm talking about. There's 21 people investigate and look at what I'm saying. We filed to King Charles himself. You can. Filed to the Archbishop of Canterbury. You can. 2 weeks ago we got a notice back saying we get a notice back every time we file with them, that they've got it. This time we got a notice back saying they're looking into everything we're saying. You can't use any of the courts in this country. None of them are lawful. None of them sit under the Crown. No Crown, no authority, no right. It's time the people woke up. Supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority is ours, not theirs. You need to wake up. You need to stand up. I've said 100 times, a woman has a baby and goes back and has another one. She's got more guts than you idiots. When are the men going to stand up and grow some balls and do the right thing and say, you're not going to do it, I've got kids, I don't want my kids growing up in a dictatorship run by a pack of thieves who sit total breach of 44 subsection I-1, which is what it means. I is 1 in Roman numerals. Your allegiance is to a foreign entity, WEF, WHO, UN, and your political parties. There's your allegiance. Where's your allegiance to us? You haven't got any. You're incapable of sitting. Sue versus Hill. No, Sue versus Hill was made by the High Court after they passed the High Court Act in 1979. It's invalid. It's pro tanto invalid in the words of Sir Samuel Griffiths. You can't say it's anything else because it's a lie. I don't care what some over-egotistical loudmouth moron says. The Constitution says to the contrary. The Constitution is correct. That moron is incorrect. Time to wake up. Time to walk in and tell your politician, I want you under our state constitution, or get out. We're not paying you anymore. Stop giving them money. Oh, it's all right for you. You don't mind going to court. Hang on. I don't mind going to court to get back our country. And I've done it. I've gone before 3 judges which were quorums, sitting there unlawful, that had a commission from the government instead of sitting under the Crown. In their own mouths it came out. They ruled against me. That doesn't mean they won. Doesn't mean I lost. It means I lived to fight another day, and I did. 2019 I defeated the council. They'd already sold my property 4 or 5 months before. Good old Shane Van Stein and the state government decided, you don't own your land anymore. We do. The Crown does. Their Crown, the Crown of Australia. Can't you see what they're doing? There is no land in this country belonging to private people which you actually own. So every time a real estate agent sells a property, puts it up for sale, why aren't they putting it up for lease? Wake up to the fact you're not buying it, you're leasing it, renting it, paying a group of bludgers to sit in a building and tell you what to do with your land when they have absolutely no authority under the law which governs your land. The Parliament has no control over land. I don't care what professors and politicians say. You show me in the Constitution where you get that authority. You don't have it. And don't say it's in the state constitution. There were no lawful state constitutions in 1979 when you added local government. There were none. Meaning local government doesn't exist. It's a fraud. Wake up to that fact. It's a fraud. Didn't happen in 1960, 1770 and all that nonsense. All of it is nonsense. We are born here. We are sovereign in our own right. Supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority is ours. And I'll keep saying it 1,000,000 times if I have to, till it sinks into your thick heads and you wake up. You are the authority. They are not. They are there to serve us, not rule over us. And to those people who come in this country, follow our customs and beliefs, assimilate into our society, get rid of all your lies, or get out and don't come back. We don't want you. We want people who want to be Australians, follow our customs, follow our beliefs, and assimilate into our society. Assimilate into our society. Do you comprehend that? If you can't, wake up. Albanese and his government are flat out, it's not a government, it's just a group of people sitting in treason in our parliament. Sitting in treason in our parliament. Time for you to wake up. Time for you to stand up and say, no. Reinstate all the state constitutions, comply, so that we can have the first lawful federal parliament in this country. We've never had one. Understand what that means, or comprehend what it means. No law passed in this country since Federation is lawful until those state constitutions are in place. All 6 state constitutions. All 6. The Northern Territory does not exist until there's a referendum in South Australia. ACT Canberra does not exist until there's a referendum in New South Wales. After you put the state constitutions back in place. 123 says what they're trying to do is bit by bit push our constitution out. It is the strongest constitution in the world, bar none. By putting the people as supreme, absolute and uncontrollable, we have the say. We have no controls over us, only a moral compass and a duty to help others, not stand on others. The Parliament has only one duty, serve the people, and by doing so pass laws for us, not over us. Comprehend what I'm saying. I'm not going away, and I'll keep coming back. And AAP, you lost again. You need a referendum to change the currency. You didn't have it. Didn't get permission off the monarch. You're lying again. you just got fact-checked again, and you come out wanting. Have a nice day.